Hello everyone, welcome back to Manga Goblin, and this is going to be looking at the next Trix series of Sweet Home by itself. Okay, so as stated on the previous episode of What the Hell, I would be taking the Netflix series and the manga and looking at them individually. The Netflix series suffers a lot from what I would call a soap opera syndrome. It extends scenes into looking at the camera, looking at each other, gasping about monsters. Scenes are dragged on beyond what they need to be. There's also a problem with the monster effects becoming less and less decent over time, and then in the last episode they seem to spend a bit more money on the final one, where the main character, Cha Hyun-soo, is turning into some sort of winged creature. Now, good things about the series, before I start listing the worst offenders. The good thing is the monster effects for the eyeball monster, the blood drinking monster, the protein monster, and the half-headed monster. Certain characters I would give props to, especially to Go Min Sai as Lee Yun Yu. Now, she is a ballet dancer who's had some sort of accident and hasn't told her stepbrother or the brother or adopted brother that she lives with, and she's taking it out on everyone. She's snappy, but she does a really good job at being a snappy character. Also, I want to credit Kim Sap-so as An Gil-seop. He was great. He was probably the best male actor in the whole series, and although some of his scenes are him digging or him talking or him kind of giving advice to people, but in a friendly older gentleman way, I think he pulled it off very well. He's a little underutilized, but what they do give him, he's acted it very well. Now, going back to what's awful about the Netflix series. Number one, one more good thing is the intro credits. The intro credits are really great. I like the black and white scratchiness. I like that. That's very good. Good. Yep. So I would also include that. Okay, back to bad things. Okay, you don't care about any characters. The central character has no motivation. The introduction of Hyun San-wook as now some sort of ex-criminal with burn marks on his face completely destroys any sympathy or any kind of attachment to the character. He's shown in the beginning of the series with a taped up guy in a room, and you don't understand any motivation until about 3 or 4 episodes later why he's done it. And okay, the reason's fair enough, there's a horrible person, kind of serial killer that he's chasing, and okay. He then kind of softens a bit, but then he goes straight back to being grouchy and giving one-word answers. In the final episode, there's no burn marks, and it leaves more questions than answers if he's part monster or if he's part... or if they've just, run out of money for special effects or makeup or something. Now, the new character, or the third main character, or should I say the primary main character, is So Ji-kyung. Now, So Ji-kyung is the stories, what you need is insert her, is basically, I don't like the term, but Mary Sue, a character that can seem to do anything, that has no flaws, is completely motivated and manages to get out of every situation. Okay, she gets beaten up a little bit in one part, but she turns it instantly on the person that's attacking her. In episode 9, she betrays the group, and there's no ramifications of her betraying the group. Even when she tells someone that she's done that, no ramifications. They don't even call her out on it. It's just like, okay. Now, more problems. The constant use of lights flickering or dark tunnels or scenes which are mostly black and you'll have to turn up the brightness just to try and figure out what's going on. And there's also scenes where the sound is really loud, and again, it doesn't really mean anything. The whole series from beginning to end is simply you're left with more questions than answers. Now, maybe that's because they want to gear up for season 2 or season 3 and then have some spectacular answers. But if this series, you look at it by itself, you don't care about anyone, you want it to end quickly. Even the monster effects, which are part practical and part CGI, can't save it, because towards the middle and almost but the final episode on one effect are awful. The characters seem to have more flaws than actual positives. Characters die and you don't care, except maybe Anne, when he dies in his sleep, it's the most peaceful death of any character, and you're just like, oh, that poor guy, he was the most decent character. Okay, I don't really have much reason to carry on anymore. The series itself has 3 directors and 1 basically idea director. Lee Yun-book said that he barely looked at the webtoon and he knew roughly, quote unquote, what was going to happen in it, but he wanted to make his own vision, and that's painfully obvious. Okay, one final thing. There is a problem with pacing in this series completely. There are scenes which are sped up, and you go, what the hell happened? And you have to go back and think about them. And there are scenes that are dragged out that you just want it to end. And I've said this a couple of times, but it needs to be said multiple times because it's that long-winded, it's that boring. I don't recommend this series at all. And looking at this series by itself, I give it maybe 1, and that's only for the opening credits, the monster effects of 4 or 5 monsters, the eyeball, the blood drinking, protein, half head, and maybe a bit of the slime monster, although it's more like goo than slime. But okay, I'll give it 1 for that. The wing effect in the final sequence with the main character Cha Hyun-soo is interesting, but it's not enough to save anything. The complete ending of the series is just a scene of all dead monsters and some cars driving away. The opening shot is come back to in that point, so it's one of those things that works backwards and then jumps to the present right at the end. It's so jarring that, as I said, you don't care, you just want it to end. And yeah, so 1 out of 5, if that. I hope everyone had a great time. I can't really say much more than that because there's nothing to praise, and it will just be a video of things wrong with it. If you like Web2, don't watch it. If you like dystopian horrors, don't watch it because it doesn't do that very well. If you like Korean soap operas, go for it, but expect some body horror and some monsters part way through. Lastly, I want to thank the fans of Song Kang, who actually were quite nice to me online, and said that this is probably the worst thing he's acted in, and don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing. So yeah, so thank you very much for the fans of him. Thank you everyone else for watching my series, and goodbye.